Welcome to Cohesive Friendship Unit. My name is Chris. I'm here with Jeremy,
What's up?
Brian,
What's going on?
and Jake.
Hey guys.
Well, some of us were off watching Cats in theaters. Others
Hell
of
yeah.
us were sitting down on our couches binging The Witcher on Netflix. And there's actually been a result. Well, again, correlation, not causation, but The Witcher 3 has seen an insane player count increase since the show has launched on Netflix. Recently, going over 100,000 current concurrent players on Steam alone, which sounds like an impressive number, and it is for like a 5-year-old single-player game that didn't have any content come out recently. But what's kind of critical to take note of is that The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt on launch day had 94,000 concurrent players, which is usually the launch day and the launch week are usually, especially for single-player games, kind of the biggest time for that game. And the fact that 5 years later, without any major content as a game, that this game, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, could exceed its day one concurrent player count, reaching 100,000 concurrent players, I think that says something. I think we're going to be talking about it. In fact, I know we're going to be talking about it. But before we do, we're doing a giveaway, guys. Giving away a copy of Risk Rain 2 on your platform of choice.
Oh,
Hell yeah. 2,250 subs. All you got to do is be subscribed. Check out our community tab for more info if you want it. So if you love us, sub us, like the video if you like it, and let us know if you guys are playing The Witcher 3 again a couple years later. So, yeah, guys, what do you think? Because I was telling Brian, to me, this is kind of like back in like the aughts when a big movie would come out and you'd get the licensed game that would come with it. That this is kind of like the opposite of that, where and now games are bigger than movies and bigger than television and bigger than a lot of these other industries, where now it's almost like a show or another piece of auxiliary content can bolster the game. I want to know what you guys think about what all this means, or what it could all mean.
I mean, off the cuff, I'm going to guess that because presumably, I think the thing that we're linking together here is that there's excitement about the show and that's driving renewed interest in the game. I'm going to guess that probably more people have watched the show than are playing the game right now. I mean, video games are huge. I don't know that I would say that they're bigger than TV and movies.
Well, monetarily, from a money standpoint, they are.
They might be more profitable.
Yeah, there's more money going around.
Yeah.
What's funny is I was telling a bunch of people to watch the show because I finished it and I enjoyed it quite a bit. But everyone's like, oh yeah, what's The Witcher? And I was like, well, first it was a book and then it became a much more popular video game. I think this is the first time I've ever explained something as being first a book and then a far more successful video game. Usually it's like a book and then a movie. But,
Yeah, like the Lord of the Rings games come out, and obviously it's based off the book, you know.
but those are nothing compared to The Witcher.
Yeah, the fact that this climbed back to 100,000 concurrent players is that is unheard of as far as what I'm aware. Usually your player base drops off by like 80% in the first like month or so, and then that's it. Like, it doesn't really come back up much higher than that.
Yeah, so I think I'm the only one that's finished the series so far, so I know, Jeremy, you're pretty close.
I've seen all but the last episode.
But one of the things that I felt when watching the show was there was a lot in there that I didn't get. I kind of felt like you needed to know a lot about The Witcher going into the show, and I wonder how much that feeling contributed to The Witcher 3 and its rise in popularity.
Like people going in and playing the game to get the lore to understand the show.
Which would be ironic because as someone who has not quite finished but is nearly finished with The Witcher 3, playing The Witcher 3 does not really fill in the gaps for what you need to know going into the show.
Well, the show is based on book
The
one,
books.
and book one specifically, whereas Witcher 3 is not.
Although, I mean, they say that, but episode, I think 3 or 4 of the show is like pretty directly based on the first major plot, arc of the Witcher 3 game. So I don't know if that's also taken from book one. I think they said in all the press releases that it was based more on the books, but clearly like the visual style and a lot of the plot beats were like directly from the game.
They had the bathtub scene
I'm sure
from The Witcher 3.
It's a steamy series.
So, can you guys see a world where, obviously not for Halo Infinite, but I'm going to use it as an example. Before Halo Infinite coming out, or like around the launch of Halo Infinite, there's like a movie or like a Netflix series, like a mini series that complements it, and like
they already did that.
They did it, but that
and,
was
like it wasn't.
That's what I'm saying on a bigger scale.
Like, yeah, I could.
Well,
totally
this is the
see
bigger.
that.
This is the next step from that, right, Brian? Like that was like I believe it was a Rooster Teeth production.
Yeah, or one of those. Yeah, it was some
and
online like YouTube type.
This is
channel.
10 years later we have a Netflix production, and what's to say in 5 years we don't get like some other
the Master
like
Chief
some
show.
crazy Final Fantasy movie in theaters or something. I don't
Well,
know.
in 5 years you'll
I
have
could see
Microsoft streaming for your Microsoft video service, so they'll just do it on their own native streaming platform.
I can see it because
Maybe.
like when the Rooster Teeth, which I think was Forward Unto Dawn, came out, that was pretty like
Halo 4.
good
wasn't
series. Like there was no big TV series like that where, not in general, but like you didn't have Game of Thrones, you didn't have The Witcher, you didn't have these big intricate fantasy series. And I feel like the watching culture has changed enough where maybe we have the environment to do that in the future and have like an in-depth multi-season series that leads up to some big release or something like that. I don't know.
Do you think this is good in broadening the audience? Like, do you think some people watched The Witcher and then checked out any of the games? Or do you think it's still pretty self-contained?
I think it's probably people played the games, watched the show, or read the book, watched the show. Like I think the backwards, like people that watch the show and they're like, oh, I want to play the game now. I think that's less.
I think it's mostly thirsty Gambo Thrones fans. People
Yeah.
who are salty that Game of Thrones ended like a pile of shit, and then they were like, this is a fantasy show, and then they watched that. Like, I think it's pretty transparently Netflix was looking for something that had some name cachet to like do a series on, and The Witcher has enough books and source material that they had, like if it was successful, there would be something there, and it has the added benefit of a pretty well-regarded video game series. It's kind of a unique situation.
Well, we're getting a Dragon's Dogma anime on Netflix, Jeremy, and a Cuphead cartoon.
Ooh.
See, that's taken it a little bit.
Well,
too
yeah,
far.
Yeah,
so
that doesn't sound good.
I did
to.
want
It's
to, like,
there
what
is also the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Hell
Well,
yeah.
That happened as well. Like you can't.
There's also
you
the
can't
Sonic
take this-
movie.
Right. It works well with a game that's like, it's got a lot of depth to it, and it's got like story, like really deep story elements. But like, you can't make a viable show, or really even a viable movie out of a platformer. I don't really think that works.
It's also ostensibly not based on the game.
Right.
No,
It's a
but
book.
I
No,
don't
it's
think
the-
we would
the
have
game
gotten
and the
this
show.
show without the game
I
doing
agree.
as well as it did.
But I think that like that's part of why this maybe breaks the tradition of bad video game TV and movies. Like, aside from this, name another good one.
Do you think we could have a good like Halo series? Because
I don't think so.
I think there's
I mean,
I
that
think
started
there's
as a
strong
game.
potential.
and then there's now books where I'm going to try and draw the comparison of Star Wars, which was a movie, then has books, and now hence has tons of lore to draw on. Maybe Halo's kind of in the same category where it had a video game lore, and now it has books to add to that, and maybe there's enough to make a series out of that.
I was going to ask you guys, we'll start with Halo from Jake. I was going to ask you guys what other series you think this could work with.
I mean, I think Halo could work.
I think Halo
Yeah,
could easily
Halo's
work.
probably the best.
Because
one.
there's
'Cause
it
Halo
has
struggles
a
to
set story.
Halo struggles to like tell a story in the games very well.
Right. I think Halo, because I was going to bring this up earlier, Chris. we were talking about like, what other instance has there been of like a major video game thing becoming a movie and it being successful? And I remembered a conversation that we had about when Halo first came out, there was like a pretty big effort to make it into a movie.
Peter
like,
Jackson was going to do something with it.
Yeah, and it never happened. And
I
think
got District 9 instead.
Ooh, I think at the time it might have worked, but I think now, like, where would you start? Because Halo, in terms of like the narrative, was kind of interesting at the time because it was something a little more sophisticated, wrapped up in a shooter with like, I don't know, some original elements. But I think now I'm not sure how much of a interesting story there really is. It's pretty basic.
I will
it's
say
like the space army killed the alien because alien is bad.
The Castlevania anime on Netflix is actually pretty good.
That shit looks dope.
It's actually it's reasonably solid. I'd give it a you should probably watch it if you like anime.
But that's not sticking strictly to the video game at all, is it? It's
well,
pretty
Castlevania is it's sticking close enough.
Is it?
I would say. Like it's
So,
they were 8-bit games. Like,
But that's
Exactly.
a game with like practically no storytelling.
Yeah. So they're basically just taking the title of it and like some rough inspiration, then coming up with something original. If that's what you were gonna do, then you can do it for any game.
they hit the plot beats,
No.
but they do it like, yeah, I mean, getting from point A to point B is very much whatever they want, but they do go from point A to point B relatively
Dracula.
yeah, well, yeah, but with via Alucard and Simon Belmont Richter, all those characters, they're all in there.
I think that like Halo, it wouldn't work as a movie because there's just enough in there that you need to do more setting up for a story to actually enjoy it. Like I think if you started in like Halo 1, 2, and 3, there's enough in there to make possibly 3 seasons. I mean, you've got the Spartans, the humans, all the aliens, the Arbiter. You've got tons of species and like areas to draw from there. So I think there's enough in there that you could create a good long-term series.
I'll just say I'm excited for the Dragon's Dogma anime. I am all in on that. That's going to be fun for me, who has a very niche liking of both anime and Dragon's Dogma. I know that's unique. But I think a Souls universe game or a movie or TV show could work out pretty well. Because that's just something that's, like, the games are just, like, seeped in lore, and you can just kind of pick a story based off of anything. Like, it's abstract enough that you can run with anything. As long as you use the lore well, it'll work out.
See, that's interesting because I don't think they would work because they're all kind of like a solo despair type game. And like you're the only person in that game essentially, minus some very non-talkative NPCs.
Well, yeah, you'd have to take a spin with it. You could make it work, I think.
I'm inclined to agree with Jake. I haven't played any of the Souls games, but I've played Hollow Knight, which is, debatably draws inspiration from them. And I think like there's basically no narrative. It's mostly just environmental storytelling, which is fun as a video game, but I don't see how it would work as a film.
What about you, Jay? You got any series?
PlayerUnknown's Battleground.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. What about you,
I
Brian?
don't know.
Anything?
I would say I don't usually I don't play that many games with stories in them. I mean,
Hell
some
yeah.
of them have stories, but they're not good. But out of the ones I've played, I would say GTA 4 is really the only one that has any sort of potential for that, and it's something that would never happen because I don't think Rockstar would allow it. But that game, at least, like it tries to have some depth to the characters, and it tries to feel like there's something else going on, like there's more meaning to what's going on. Like GTA 5 is great, but you just sort of run around and kill people. Like the storyline is just, we're gonna go steal some money.
Well, they also do more traditional storytelling instead of like making decisions and branching paths and stuff.
Yeah, and like I think there's elements in that you could explore, but I think that was ridiculous. That was moving more towards the ridiculous side of it, because those DLCs kind of took it back towards the you got jetpacks and you got parachutes and all this shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's fun, but it's not like, if you want to tell a story that people are going to want to follow, it's not really the right model. I think you could make something that was a pretty broad base appeal, but I don't, even with GTA 4, I don't think it would have that much depth to it. It would just be sort of like one of you guys, it's just interchangeable storylines. You can do it with pretty much any game. You're quote unquote exploring story, like the characters' stories, except this the guy that shows up for like 45 seconds in a cutscene and you never see him again.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like a good Star series or something like that.
yeah, I mean, it would be a lot of like driving around and explosions and gunfights. Like,
The Sopranos.
well, The Sopranos was hugely successful. It's like they have the HBO formula. You get to see at least one person having sex and at least one person getting killed in every episode, guaranteed, and people will watch it. Like, that's all you need to do.
That's why people play GTA.
Right.
Partially.
It's, yeah, more or less, but it is pretty much the same thing. It's a generic, more or less, crime story that, you have a bunch of story arcs and people keep coming back to see what's going to happen next season. Like, it's not, on the surface, it's not anything spectacular. It's a great show, but yeah, those are my thoughts.
Cool. All right. I don't know. Anything else we want to talk about? I think we've
I'm good.
basically Witcher's successful. We'll probably see more things. Will they work? Maybe
Time
some of
will
them.
tell.
Yeah, time will tell. It's kind of exciting though. I don't know. It's exciting to see these series get a different stage to shine on. These IP. Like, if there is a Zelda movie, I'll definitely watch it. But until that Zelda movie comes out, what should our viewers be doing, Brian?
Well, if you viewers like me were not watching Cats or The Witcher show, but were in fact playing Halo, since we
Hell yeah.
talked so much about Halo over the past, few days, go ahead and hammer your thoughts on that, and just the kind of melding of video games and movies and shows and everything. All the media is just one. Give your thoughts on that down in the word box there. We love your comments, and like Chris said at the beginning of the video, we're giving away a game we've talked about quite a bit, Risk of Rain 2, when we hit 2250.
Yeah, 2250.
2250. So go ahead and click that subscribe button, because if you watch this far, you probably liked it. And we do have a veritable shit ton more content like this here on the Cohesive Friendship Unit channel. And smoke them if you got them, guys. That's all for me tonight, Chris.
Thanks, Brian. Catch you guys next time.